Welcome to the Smart Circle Lounge.
Thanks for having me, Sandy.
Of course. I'm so excited to be sitting down with you today. I have been looking forward to this conversation. Larry, as the founder of Smart Circle, your story is really a testament to the power of hard work, the power of having a really good vision, and ultimately a commitment to empowering and helping others. And as someone who has benefited from that commitment, I know I can speak for a lot of people when I say thank you for the commitment and the choice that you made 44 years ago to start this incredible organization. Over the last 40 years, Smart Circle has grown into this global force that has opened up and created countless opportunities for entrepreneurs, for sales professionals, and even for some of the most biggest clients in the world. It's really revolutionized the face-to-face industry. So congratulations on all of that. But a lot of people want to hear how and where the seed really got planted for Smart Circle. So let's dive right in. How and where did this all start?
Well, thank you for saying that. I didn't have such a grand vision. I had humble beginnings, and people did a lot of things for me, and all we did was pass that on. In 1981, I graduated from college, but school really wasn't my thing. And I was kind of worried about my career, how I would earn a living, what I would do. An early mentor, Sandy, said to me, hey, if you're good at sales and you're good at sales management, you can do better than some people who have those degrees. And it stood in my mind. I answered an ad way back for direct sales, door-to-door sales of products. It was 100% on commission, and if you didn't sell, you didn't make any money. And it was very hard for me, like it is most people, to build up the nerve to approach people. Yeah. And to have the confidence that on commission, you can actually make a living. And I had a tough time with it at the beginning, but eventually I got really good at it. I got to a position where the people that were providing the product looked at me and said, hey, would you like to start a business where we would supply you with the product? And so I became an independent corporate distributor for those people. And they treated me very, very well. And they gave me the lion's share of the profit because I was working really hard. I had my own employees separate from them, and I was really growing, and it was great. And I was very loyal to them. And this was in Toronto, Canada. After a period of time, they had decided they didn't want to do business in Canada. So it forced me to have to think, what else could I do? And the idea was that I could be like them and become a broker. Be a broker between the products or the client and the ICDs, the other independent businesses that were just like me. And I promised myself that if I became a broker, I would look after the ICDs, the independent corporate distributors, those small business people, the way I was looked after. And that was really the foundation of my business, Andy.
That's really amazing. It shows how much of an impact having a good mentor can really have.
Absolutely.
So now we're 44 years into this. Smart Circle just had an incredible 2024. Tell us a little bit about, what just happened this last year.
2024 was incredible growth. We finished the year with servicing just under 800 ICDs, independent corporate distributors, those small businesses. We're in a run rate right now, Sandy. If we continue on 2025 on the run we're on, we're going to finish with north of 1,000 independent corporate distributors that we service just in North America. Wow. That's a fantastic number compared to where we thought we would be 4 or 5 years ago. So incredible growth in all of our programs and incredible growth of those small business owners.
That's amazing. What would you say are some of the contributing factors that really help that growth?
Sandy, there's lots of contributing factors that cause it. But from our side, from our business, we continue to realize that we're not the most important. We're just the broker. We're the broker between those fantastic Fortune 100 clients who need acquisitions and give great consumer offers to the public and want a good customer at a good rate, and they're the star of the show. And then the other star of the show, Sandy, is those small businesses that actually do the sales, that hire the salespeople. So our job is to provide them that service, but stay out of the way. So we pass on the majority of the revenue to those small businesses so they can earn more money. And that's made a huge difference in our business. Because those small businesses have a tough time, Sandy. It's hard. It's hard to run a business with all the different expenses you have, the amount of hours you have to work. You know yourself, not all of them can make it. But by giving them more of the revenue and by giving them access to consultants if they want it, it's made a huge difference in our business, for 2024, and now 25 is going to be a monster, Sandy.
To clarify, these consultants are all part of the Smart Circle Sales Network.
Right.
And they're all ICDs. They're experts in face-to-face sales and marketing. They each started out in the field and worked for another ICD. They have years of experience running a successful business, and now they use that experience to consult with Smart Circle on client campaigns, client acquisitions, as well as mentor and consult with other ICDs.
Exactly. They don't all have years and years. Some of them are so good they only have a couple years of experience, but they're that good that they can be consultants.
That's really incredible. I mean, like you said, you made that decision a long time ago to make sure that the ICDs were going to be the ones that were going to be taken care of. Can you go into a little bit more detail in that and how that works?
Yeah, don't get me wrong, Sandy. Our company still makes a lot of money and we do very well and we have great employees. But as the growth happened, we didn't need as much, so we could pass that on to the small businesses and the consultants that are really doing the heavy lifting. And it's made a huge difference in our business. And I got some great examples. I put these numbers together really quickly with my accounting team. They may be a little off, but not that off. It's just amazing what happened last year, Sandy.
Let's hear it.
In 2024, over 25% and a growing number of the ICDs grossed over $500,000 in revenue up to $17 million. And that number just keeps growing. And that includes their commissions, their overrides, their consulting fees, and their bonuses. 2025 will be far greater. But even more interesting than that, Sandy, is when we look at the consultants. Let me tell you how much money they made last year, which is amazing. In the same year, 2024, the 46 consultants in commissions, overrides, and consulting fees were paid $131 million. Wow. And this year's even going to be greater. So when Smart Circle cuts their fees and makes half of what we used to make, and we're passing that on to those consultants, they're making so much more money and they're able to consult and help the other ICDs get to where they need to go, which is causing our explosive growth. And it's continuing on. And 2025 is going to be way higher, Sandy. But I'm just amazed and so proud of what happened in 2024. Because the other thing, Sandy, that's really important, there's three types of people that give advice or consult with the small businesses. And they all do a good job and they all mean well. Yep. The first type of person is somebody who never worked for an ICD, never worked on commission, and they also never were an ICD. And they give advice to the ICDs, telling them the way they think they should run the business. And that's great. The second person are people like me who did it, but the last time I did it was like 35 years ago, right? I don't even remember it. Yeah. So if I was to give people advice, it's not today, it's yesterday, right? And so people that are no longer actively running their own businesses, they're just giving advice. They sound good, they look good at meetings and stuff, but it's not real. Versus the people that are consulting, that are actually running their own offices, or they're doing projects where they're going out and helping. So those small businesses can learn from those people who are actually doing it. So rather than a guy like me giving advice that I kind of try to remember from 35 years ago, or somebody else that has never really been on commission or never really ran a small business, we've got the real people that the small businesses consult with. They don't have to. They all own their own business. They have their own employees. They have their own salespeople. But we made it very open for them to go to these consultants that are very well paid to get advice in real time to say, this is how I do it. So if you were looking at Sandy and you had a choice between three ways to get advice, Advice from somebody who's talking really well, but they have never done it. Advice from somebody that has done it 35 years ago, or advice from somebody that's doing it right now that can show you how they do it. Which one would you pick?
Definitely the one doing it.
Right. And that's what's changed in our business.
Yeah. So you emphasize the importance of being a good broker for the client and for the ICDs. Can you elaborate on how that actually works in practice?
Well, in practice, we build a relationship with the client. We actually don't do the sales. We find independent corporate distributors who run their businesses, and they hire the salespeople that do the sales. Those are the people that do the heavy lifting. We're strictly the broker. We're the broker in between the client who wants acquisitions and the sales force that wants to sell and get those acquisitions. We make a small spread in between, sending the majority of the money to the sales force who does the heavy lifting. Clients could do this on their own, but that's not their expertise. So our expertise and what we've built over the past 44 years is finding independent corporate distributors who do it in a way that they acquire acquisitions in a much more timely and efficient manner than clients could do it themselves. As a matter of fact, Sandy, when we started in our business, a lot of our clients had their own sales forces, and we were competing with those sales forces. But over a period of time, they saw how we did a much more efficient model than they could do themselves. It's kind of like if we work for a client like AT&T, we wouldn't know how to run AT&T, but they count on us to do the sales because we can do it better than they can.
The people leading from the front are really, and figuratively and literally, leading from the front.
Exactly.
So again, I want to thank you for sitting down with me today, because it's not always easy to get you to be front and center of the business and to talk about all the success that Smart Circle is having. So why is it that you like to kind of take more of a backseat to everything that's happening here at Smart Circle?
Because I'm no longer the important person. I am not the person who's doing what the small businesses are doing, working the amount of hours they have, having the pressure that they have. And I can't pretend to be. And people that do that, they're kind of pretending to be, and I'm not that person. The people that should be front and center are the people you're doing stories for. When I see what you're doing, Sandy, with the real stories and real people, those are the people that are making a difference in our business. And those are the people that we're so grateful to have. I can go at a meeting, I can talk, I can give philosophy, I can do all those things, but there's nothing like those real people in the stories that you have produced. They got to be front and center, not me.
100%. I love how passionate you have always been about really protecting the people that are making the sacrifices and putting the time and really working hard.
Because it happened for me. Because somebody made me feel special. And somebody, when I was a small business, treated me well, where I could learn how to run a business and had enough revenue to be able to succeed at this. So I had to pass it on to the next generation.
Yeah.
And besides, I don't employ any of the people. All the salespeople are employed by those businesses. They're mentored by those businesses, not by me. So I don't bring to the table what the clients bring with their great offers and what the small businesses bring.
Yeah. It's awesome.
And the businesses that are doing the best, the fact that the small businesses can go to those people and can say, help me, teach me. And some of them are still going to fail, but they have a better chance of success, knowing that they can go to those consultants if they want to and see how it's done. And also knowing that the consultants can be paid so handsomely to be able to help those people. That's the magic, Sandy, because it's being done in real time. So more of our ICDs, our independent corporate distributors, our small businesses are way more successful today than they've ever been because of more revenue and more access to the people that are really doing the job.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, we've talked a lot about the successes and how much has happened over the years, but great success does not come without its challenges. And I know Smart Circle had a little bit of a challenging time a few years ago. Do you want to get into that a little bit?
Are you talking COVID?
Talking COVID.
Oh my God. Sandy, not only was it a scary time, people were dying.
Yeah.
And that was awful. but it was the worst thing in history for our business. We're in the face-to-face business, talking to people at a time when there's a pandemic. It's not the right business to be in. Our business went to zero revenue.
Wow.
Zero.
Yeah.
And it was horrible. And we were scared. It was the worst time ever. And the worst thing for our industry is a pandemic.
Yeah.
And it was the worst.
A face-to-face business struck with a pandemic where the disease passes through face-to-face.
Yeah.
What do you do? How did Smart Circle overcome this?
Just everybody working together. There was a silver lining that came from a lot of directions. First of all, our business went to zero revenue. And we were watching all kinds of things going on with other businesses like ours. I was so proud, Sandy, of my shareholders. They got together and they decided that everybody's going to tighten their belt, but we're not going to lay off one person because of COVID, even though we had no work. We're going to funnel money back into the business. This business has been so good to us for decades. We're going to funnel money back into the business to make sure every employee stays employed because they have mortgages, they have expenses. We owed it to those people who gave us so much time. So I was so proud of my shareholders that we're not greedy, we're not thinking of themselves, and all they cared about was putting money back into the business. We were bleeding millions of dollars, Sandy, every single month to make sure everybody was looked after. I couldn't be more proud of my partners and shareholders for doing that.
That's truly amazing. And then to rebound and have some of the best years in the history of Smart Circle.
Yes, but Sandy, other people helped us too. When we funneled that money into the business with no revenue coming in, we thought it would just be us. But our clients approached us and said, how can we help? And those clients came to us and they paid revenue when they weren't getting any sales. And we passed that revenue on to the small businesses so they could keep going while they had no revenue also. So learning a lot about your clients, Sandy, when the chips are down was amazing to me.
Yeah.
Not only that, Sandy, but our government, who's divided in many ways, during COVID, got together and did the right thing. Not only did they support the residents of the country, they actually went to businesses that were continuing to employ people, and they gave money to those businesses that we never thought that would happen. So between my shareholders, between my clients, and the government's support, when the world became open again and we could do business, it was off to the races, Sandy, because we got so much support from the shareholders, from the clients, and from our government.
Amazing.
And we rebounded quickly.
Yeah. And now looking forward to 2025 and on. I mean, what's the forecast?
Well, you know, Sandy, I threw out the number of 1,000, servicing 1,000 companies, independent corporate distributors. That's a big goal.
Yeah.
If we fall short, it's going to be by a very small amount, and we'll get it by Q1 of 2026. But that's a huge goal. Between getting into new industries and supporting the group of small companies, our goal is to break over 1,000 this year in North America.
Did you ever think in your wildest dream 44 years ago that these numbers would be what they are today, the success that you'd have today? Did you ever imagine that it could be possible?
You can know the answer to that. Absolutely not. I was never a big thinker.
Yeah.
But my business and the partners and people around me and the small business people that we supported that became big businesses and the clients, they just kept the goals getting bigger and bigger, and it's just not going to stop. The next 5 years will be bigger than the first 40 years.
Yeah, amazing. What do you hope your legacy to be?
You know, I feel like I'm watching my legacy as I'm watching these small business owners just make more and more and support their families and do special things. When you produce those videos, real people, real stories, I kind of want to cry because I'm watching what people are doing with what they're doing. People that were sleeping on the street, or people that didn't know how they were going to support themselves, or people that have changed their parents' lives, or people that are buying fancy cars or doing whatever their dreams are. that's my legacy, is watching those stories. So please keep doing them, Sandy.
Yeah, we definitely will.
Yeah, it's just amazing.
Yeah. So Larry, if I could take you back to when you were 22 years old, what would you tell yourself knowing what you know today?
Is to put your pride aside and to be a great copier. Yeah. So if you're a student and you want to get an A average, the thing that I learned about this business is that you go to the test, you sit beside the smartest kid in the class, and you copy their answers. Yeah. Now, of course, that would get you kicked out of school. And that's not what you should do when you're in school. But when you get into the business world and you're trying to learn by putting yourself in front of the smartest people and by stalking those people for information and for how they live their life, what they do, how they carry themselves, you will learn so much and be an open book, be a sponge, rather than be embarrassed to say, I don't know something. The person that acts like they don't know anything and all they want to do is learn, and they go to the people that are doing the best, those are the people that grow the most. Yeah. And so that's what advice I would have given my 22-year-old self, because a 22-year-old self, I was embarrassed to say what I don't know. Yeah. Rather than now, I would keep asking and going to people that are doing better than me and asking them. That's the advice I would give myself.
That's great advice. Why do you think face-to-face sales has such a negative connotation to it sometimes?
I think because it's different. And anything that's different usually has a negative connotation because we approach the public. Yeah. It looks uncomfortable. I think that's what it is. And once people get past that, just like our clients had to get past that, and understand that that's a profitable way to run a business and it's real, once the people that are being hired by the small businesses get past that and realize there's so much potential in that, once the small business owners realize, like, wait a minute, I can change people's lives, I can change my life from this industry, that's when it really starts to work. But none of us dream of becoming successful through door-to-door sales. Yeah. We just don't dream about it because it's not natural. Yeah. We dream about, being lawyers and accountants or football players or something like that. We don't dream about it. But when we see the way this industry has come out and we see what our clients have done for us and the position they've put us in to create these great careers, it becomes more real. Yeah. And I can tell you, Sandy, that in 2025, we're way more appreciated as an industry than we ever were before. Mm-hmm. And it's only getting greater.
Yeah. It's awesome. So what would you say to someone, because I remember running an ICD office and, oftentimes you're interviewing people and they see negative reviews online. What do you say to the skeptics and to the people that call face-to-face sales a scam? What do you say to that?
Well, when I read some of the online negatives, I realize it's kind of like a restaurant where, because you could go online, you can use that vehicle and people have the right to do it. Yeah. And I wish I could say that every small business owner treated their people properly. Yeah. Sometimes they don't. Mm-hmm. We can't control that. It's either because somebody wasn't treated fairly, or a lot of times it's because people don't succeed. And it's easy to say, hey, the system is why it didn't work, or my ICDs, it's their fault, or it's somebody else's fault. Mm-hmm. It's much easier to go online and say that's why it didn't work out.
Yes.
But that's just the nature of just today, is that you can do that. And I'm not mad at those people. Mm-hmm. People should feel the way they feel. Mm-hmm. I'm just really proud of what we've been able to create and the amount of people in their lives that have changed. People always think, well, it's only the people at the top that are making the money, but we've got hundreds and hundreds of stories, and our industry does, of people that it's changed their lives. And not only their lives, but every year, Sandy, we create billions and billions of dollars of revenue for our clients. Wow. Billions. Like, I don't know what the number is, but it could be 10 billion or, billions of dollars of revenue for our clients with the acquisitions we bring them. So it's a win-win-win.
That's incredible.
Clients get billions of dollars of revenue from a source that they didn't think existed. My brokerage company does really, really well. And the small businesses that keep growing do really, really well. So it's a win all the way around. And the consumer gets an incredible deal. Today, our industry is so popular with our clients that the deal we can offer the consumer, either at the retail store or at their door or at their business, that deal is superior to a lot of other deals they can get. So the consumer that actually listens to us and lets us give the presentation for the client gets a great deal. Everybody wins, Sandy. It's beautiful.
Win-win situation for sure. Obviously, Larry, you are such an advocate for entrepreneurship, running your own business, and really using that as a vehicle to change your life. I think everybody would choose to run their own business if it was easy. Can you maybe share a piece of advice or something for an aspiring entrepreneur who wants to get in the game and maybe is doubting themselves a little bit?
You know, Sandy, being a small business owner takes hard work and takes sacrifice. You know, there's very few small business owners or business owners in general or successful people that can say, I accomplished my goals. I didn't have to work that hard. And I didn't have to sacrifice from other parts of my life. That's just the way it is. So a lot of people don't make it in a lot of things because they're not willing to make the sacrifice of what it takes. And they're all really good people, but their priorities are different. And there's people that are not for our business because it's not right for them. And they'll be successful doing something else. It may be a hobby, it may be things, their family, it may be things that are more successful. Nothing comes without sacrifice. Like you went to school, and you can imagine, Sandy, that let's say at the beginning of a school year, 100,000 kids in September choose pre-med, that they want to be doctors. When you look years down the road of what percentage of those people actually became doctors, I'm going to guess it could be 0.25%. So how did they go from saying I'm pre-med to now most of them don't become doctors? Because their priorities change, because their work ethic changed, because their interests change. Things change. It doesn't mean they're not successful people. It just means that goal that they had was no longer as important, or they realized that to get there, it was going to be too much work that they weren't willing or able to do. And that's just the way the world is. And the timing has to be right.
Very cool. If you could rewrite any part of your story, would you?
I think if I could rewrite any part of my story, I would have not been stubborn and not be embarrassed to admit what I don't know. The people that continually admit what they don't know will always learn. You never stop learning, Sandy. And what this business taught me was to always want to do better no matter how good you're doing. And not just in your business life, but also in your personal life. This business has helped me greatly in my personal life because I've been married for 30 years. And every year, I always think, how can I be a better husband? Even though my wife's happy with me, how can I be a better husband? And the business teaches me to look at other relationships and see what they're doing. And see, oh, they went on a trip together, or they did this game together, they had fun doing this, and want to copy it. I see somebody happy, I want to copy it. I want to be a better son to my parents. I want to be a better father to my kids. I want people looking at me and thinking, I'm never the same. I'm always looking to improve in my personal life and in my business life. Because it's more fun to be a student, Sandy, than it is to just always be the same. I never want my wife or people to look at me and say, oh, that's just the way he is. He's not going to change. I never want to be that way, Sandy. And this business taught me, this industry taught me not to be that way. So I always look at other people. And years ago, if a kid came over that was friends of my son and he looked really happy, his goals seemed great, all that was fantastic, I'd contact the father because of this business. I'd contact the father and I'd say, hey, congratulations. Your son is so mature. He's so great at hanging out with my son. can you give me some tips? Can you tell me what you guys do together? Can you also tell me when he does something wrong, how you kind of scold him, what you guys do? Because I wanted to learn from him based on how I saw he raised his child.
Right.
I never wanted to say that's just who I am and I can't improve.
Yeah.
And this industry taught me that.
But you've always led from the front just based off of your character. And it doesn't surprise me that Smart Circle has had 44 years of incredible success.
The best is yet to come.
The best is yet to come.
Keep getting those real stories out there from those real people, Sandy. I appreciate all you do. Thanks for coming back to our business and being in charge, being our communications director.
Of course. I'm so happy to be here. Some might say it's a full Smart Circle. So
it is a full Smart Circle. And do you know why it's so important that you're in this role versus somebody else?
Enlighten me.
Because if we hired somebody that had a background just in communication, they would be great. But you're even greater because you started in the business as a door-to-door person. You worked 100% on commission. You know exactly what it's like to have a gut in your stomach. Am I going to make money or not?
Yes.
You became a small business owner. You went through the trials and tribulations of learning it. You were very successful. You were making six figures. You walked away with $100,000 that you had made. So you're a success story that left us. And now you've come back as our communication director. So I was really disappointed when you left because I knew what you could do. I understood. I was brokenhearted.
Yeah.
But tell us why you left.
Sure. I mean, I obviously was very brokenhearted as well. It was a very bittersweet moment. I was 22, 23 years old as a sales rep for another ICD owner. And kind of like you, I didn't have this like big vision that I wanted with my life, but I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I knew I wanted to learn how to make money. And when I learned how to develop a team and I learned how to run my own business and I got into business for myself, I think people open up businesses for a variety of different reasons. Some people do it because they want to be the best and they want to own the building one day and they want to have a ton of offices and locations all over the world and they want this big thing. I think for myself, I was very specific with the goals that I really wanted to accomplish when I started my company. And one of them was get out of debt. I had college debt and, no one was going to pay me, 22-year-old kid with no experience in anything. No one's going to pay me enough money to pay off that debt in my lifetime. So I knew I needed to do something that was going to pay me well, and entrepreneurship was going to be the way for that. Two, I wanted to be able to financially help my parents. I'm a daughter of immigrants. My parents fled Lebanon during the Civil War with $1 and a dream, and I saw them work really hard, and we struggled a lot, but I saw them really, put in time, put in effort to get us to a place where we were doing okay. And so I really wanted to give back. And lastly, I wanted to help other people help themselves. I wanted to teach people how to make money for themselves and how to build their own businesses. And I wanted them to see that there was more to life than just working the same 9-to-5 job for the rest of their life. Like I wanted them to see that there were options for them. And also I wanted to have $100,000 saved. And I had accomplished all those goals. And so I was doing really well. And, another big goal for me, because I saw my parents struggle, because I saw my mom who had to drop out of school in like 8th grade because she had to like take care of her parents and take care of the family. Education was really important to us. And I knew that I wanted to go to school to get my master's. I had this like long-term goal of becoming a professor and teaching. I've always loved teaching. And so I started to get this desire to want to go and accomplish a lot of these other goals. And it really was like 2 years before I left that I started feeling like this. But I had told myself that I wasn't going to leave if I was in a bad place. That if I got to a position where I was making a lot of money and I had money saved in the bank and my team was doing well and I still had this desire to go accomplish all these other goals that I wanted to accomplish, then only then would I make the decision to leave. And so it was 2017 and I had a lot of success for a lot of years and I had no debt and my family was good and, money in the bank, the emergency fund was good. It just made sense. My team was able to stand on their own without me and I had felt like I really accomplished everything that I set out to do in this business. And so I did that. I went back to school, I got my master's, and immediately I got offered a position as an adjunct professor to teach at my grad school. So I got to accomplish my professor goal. And I started working with startups and helping other entrepreneurs start their business from inception to execution. So I got to do a lot of these things that I would not have been able to do had I started at 22, 23 years old. So the experience that I gained from running my own sales company and being a part of the sales network with Smart Circle really gave me the advantage in life. And so when I moved back to the West Coast and, I heard Smart Circle had a communications marketing director position, and that's really what my undergrad was in. That's what I'd been studying over the last 7 years. It was like the stars aligned. Now I get to come back in with all that experience, not just, in the digital marketing world, but also the experience of, like you said, knowing what it feels like to be a sales representative, and knowing what it feels like to go door to door, and knowing what it feels like to be an ICD, and the sacrifices and the pressure and the time commitment that you have to put in. I know what people want to hear and what people need to hear. So it's really amazing opportunity for me to come back and be able to give back to an industry and to a network that gave so much to me in my life, and that drastically changed my life for the better for the rest of it to come. So I'm grateful to be back. And I truly believe everything happens for a reason. And that's why I joke that it's a full Smart Circle moment, but it really is. And it's really been incredible.
Well, I'm really proud of you and chasing your goals and becoming a professor and getting your master's degree. That's unbelievable.
Thank you.
But let me ask you a question, Sandy. You left in 2017. It's now 2024. You're watching people that
2025.
2025, excuse me. You're watching people that you knew
Yes.
that are making $16, $17 million as consultants. You're watching people in their third year make $1 million as consultants and growing. Do you kind of dream a little bit at night and think, what if I would have stayed?
Do I kind of dream? Of course I dream. that would have been me. No, I'm obviously so inspired and so motivated from seeing that. And there are some amazing people in this network, and I'm so happy for them. But I definitely do. I mean, I definitely wish that maybe I could have done it another way. Yeah. But I don't regret anything, because I'm very happy with my path. I'm very happy with what the sales network gave to me and what running my own business taught me. I mean, graduating at the top of my class is not because I was some super smart girl, because this opportunity really taught me how to be an amazing student, and really taught me how to figure out, if I don't know how to do something, I need to go find someone to teach me how to do it. It taught me how to have a positive, optimistic attitude, how I can really accomplish anything that I set my mind to. And I've just been able to accomplish so many personal goals because of the time that I spent running a sales office in the Smart Circle Sales Network. So definitely think about it. I definitely wish maybe there was a different path for me to have stayed in it and still accomplish a lot of the things that I had to accomplish. But I'm just even more excited to be able to come back to it.
But also, realistically, Sandy, the business in 2017 was very different than it is today.
Yeah.
There wasn't the consumer offers like there are today. There wasn't as much of the revenue going to the small businesses and the consultants like there is today. Yeah. And so there wasn't that opportunity. So for somebody like you who had saved $100,000, that was pretty good, because there wasn't people making 15 and 17 and $6 million and $8 million. Yes. So the business is very different when you came back versus where it is today. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I think it's extraordinary. Yeah. I remember when I first started interviewing the ICDs for our Real People, Real Stories series, and I just remember my mind was blown. They're 23, 24-year-olds that are making this sort of income. And it kind of remotivated me and reinvigorated me again. I think it's so amazing what has happened over the last few years. Absolutely.
The business has really changed. And, I think it's amazing when you see not just people that have been at the business for a while making a lot of money as consultants, but people in their third year making north of $1 million, and 36 months before they weren't in the business.
Yeah.
That's just amazing.
Yeah.
You know, our business, Sandy, is like any small business. When somebody starts running a business, the odds are against them, like any small business out there. And the odds of them to succeed are not high. But by them getting more revenue than 2017, by them being able to represent such large clients with great consumer offers, and by them having access to other consultants who are, you know, running businesses just like they are, and having a choice to talk to those people, it really increases their odds of being able to succeed.
Yeah.
Some still fail, that's just the way it goes. Some decide it's not for them, that they want to follow another path. But what you've seen now is an increase of people succeeding because of those ingredients.
That makes a lot of sense.
And Sandy, you have to stop interviewing people like me and continue to do your real stories, real people, the people that are out there, this year's version of, and this generation of the people that are really making a difference out there, because that's what's driving our business. And you're the perfect person, Sandy, to do that for our business.
I really appreciate it. And thank you so much for taking the time out. This has been so insightful, so inspiring. I know our viewers are going to love to hear everything that you have to say. And I really couldn't have been more grateful for you to take the time out and sit down with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you, Larry.